Hi, and welcome to Sunday with Mike. Before we get started, I want to do a special shout out to Anthony James down in Perth, Australia. Thanks for the chat. I appreciate that. On today's show, we're going to cover power strips, secure websites, secret recordings, and why RSVP guest requests are a bad idea. Grab some coffee and join me. I'll be right back. We all use different devices for making multiple AC connections when setting up your gear for your event. Many times we don't even really pay attention to what we're using to accomplish this task or even care about what's inside the parts and pieces that we're actually using. As a continued learning resource, I thought it would be good if I shared my thoughts and methodology on what I use and why I use it instead of something else. I'm not saying that this is the right way or that there isn't a better way. All I'm saying is that it has served me well, and you should stop and think about each part that you're placing in your AC chain to get power everywhere that you need it to be. If you don't, you're going to find yourself facing some power issues at some point down the road. Here we have a typical power strip. And this is usually sold, in pairs, and they're cheap and they're inexpensive. And people don't really think twice about taking these things and hooking them up and counting on that power switch not to trip until it's really necessary. I would guess that this is what most of you are currently using. But the problem is this switch and anything else inside of this unit. Some have extra components and some only have a power switch. And in any case, if you have an opportunity for this strip to fail because the switch can go bad or trip or cut off the power to the outlets. What I prefer to use is something like this power block. This thing has no switches or other devices inside of it. It's strictly a hardwired connection. So whatever power comes in is available for all of the outlets. There is no switches that can trip or nothing else that can foul this up. This item is a few years old, but they're commonly available if you know what you're looking for at Walmart's, Home Depots, Lowe's, etc. Don't get me wrong, sometimes you need a line conditioner, a surge protector, etc. But you don't need one on every power strip. So you need to start thinking like the power company does. In the beginning of my power run from the wall back there, I need to come into conditioning, whatever I want to do. And then from there, I don't need any more conditioning further down the line. I just need it one time before I send power anywhere else. Then I split it off and do what I need to do. The rest of your run should be completely uninterrupted power. That way, if something goes wrong, I know first I need to check my device back at the beginning of my distribution, whatever that is, if it's a surge protector, a line conditioner, etc. And if the issue isn't there, then I know it's back there at the circuit breaker, and I don't have a bunch of cheap power strips with inferior switches that may be causing my issues. So to recap, I want you to do what's right for your safety and your gear, but always ask yourself, do I need this item in my AC power distribution? And if you don't, get rid of it and replace it with something else, and you'll be much better off.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
There's a growing trend worldwide to convert your website from the normal HTTP to the secure version, which adds an S at the end of that so that it becomes HTTPS in your URL. Lately, I've been noticing more and more broken links on my website because the URL isn't technically the same. The web servers are smart enough to reroute the internet traffic to the correct place, but it does place an error code in the process because the URL has been redirected, and you can't control what other people do. So as other sites that you've linked to have gone to secure, you need to update the link that's on your site. That's what we're talking about here. This subject can get really deeper than I would like to go, so I'm just going to say this. If you're not checking your site for broken links and outdated links, you should be. Google and other search engines rely heavily on these links to get around the web with their spiders that crawl, and also to keep search engines working properly. None of us on the outside know for sure what Google and the other search engines penalize you for, but I would think that broken links on your website would be one of their major issues with anybody's website. If you Google website link checker with Google, you'll find a ton of free sites that offer to check your site and let you know the results. I would suggest that you do this at least once a month, if not more often. And also, while you're at it, you can use another type of service to check to see how well your page is loading into other people's computers and smart devices. Head over to a website called Pingdom. Here's the URL. It's https://tools.pingdom.com. And of course, we're going to put that down in the description column for you down below. And enter in your website's URL. In just a few moments, you'll be presented with a speed test result, along with a long list of suggested improvements that you can make to your website. Again, I hate to keep saying this, but Google and other search engines are paying attention to how fast your website loads. I mean, hell, they time their own results with their every query. If you go to Google and type in anything, it gives you a speed result. So do you, so if they're testing their own results, why wouldn't they care about how fast your site loads? So I think it's something to pay attention to. You want your website to be the very best that it can be. Are your performances being secretly recorded by a venue? This thought had never occurred to me until I found out recently that it had already happened to me without my knowledge or consent. When I found out the details, it made sense and I was okay with it, but it did make me think about this topic in a whole new light because I had never thought about a venue recording me before. If you're like me and you've killed yourself to be the absolute best that you can be, you've worked hard on setting yourself apart from others by developing your own style and manner of doing things, and then boom, you find out that a venue could be secretly recording your performances and sharing them with anybody they want to, including your competition. I've spent countless hours creating what I do for my clients and events. The last thing in the world that I want is for somebody to try and duplicate what I do at my events. But let's face it, what better way to get ahead than to have the best guys in your area on video and play them over and over again? Do you care if someone records your show? Most people who have not spent a great deal of money or very little on self-improvement will say, who cares? But for the rest of us who have spent time and a lot of money to self-improve, I think we'll view this topic very differently. So look around while you're doing your next load-in and ask yourself, do I see a camera anywhere in this area? If you do you care? I'm not sure where the legality of this is. I'm not even going to guess how it would shake out in a court of law. The only reason that I mentioned it is because it happened to me personally, and it could be happening to you too. Keep an eye on any cameras and venues, and let me know what your thoughts are about this practice in the comments section down below. I'm noticing an old trend that's starting to come back around, and I'm not sure exactly why. Brides and grooms have always sent out an RSVP card as a way to gauge how many guests will be attending their wedding. This way, they can make sure that they have enough of everything: food, beverages, tables, etc., to accommodate all of the guests. This isn't new, and it's not going away anytime in the near future. Despite all of the smartphone technology that's available, people still use this card that gets mailed out. Recently, I've noticed more and more couples asking their guests for song requests on the actual RSVP card. While in theory this may sound like a great wedding tip for our couples, it's not a very good idea or way to gauge the room. Let's say that couple number one isn't going to make it to the wedding, and they mark no but return the card with what they think is a great party song. You could be playing a song for a couple that's not even at the wedding because it got listed on the form. Let's take another example, and this time they mark off yes, they are coming to the wedding, and they add a song to the list. Well, maybe this time you got on the must-play list, but then something came up at the very last moment, and that couple didn't make it to the wedding either. Again, you're playing a song for a missing couple, and this stuff happens all the time, where people say yes, they're coming, but they don't make it. I would much prefer to have live requests made to me personally so that I get the correct artist, the song title. I can tell them if I can or can't play the song. If it's on the do not play list, I can't play it. It doesn't matter what they ask for. But taking live requests also gives you a ballpark idea of how old the requester is, the person that's asking you for the song, and you have no idea when it's in a pre-written form from a wedding RSVP. I'm not sure where this idea comes from and why it's becoming popular again, but in my world it hurts more than it helps, and I would much prefer this practice to go away and let me talk with people at the wedding in real time. That's just my thoughts. I want to hear about your comments down below. And that's going to be a wrap for our show today. I hope that you'll share the show with your friends. Give me your thoughts down in the comment section, and be sure to give us a thumbs up. We're saving a seat for you in the Sunday with Mike Facebook group. I'll see you next week.